Hello, it's Aura. Good evening, good day, or whatever time it is for you right now. I hope you're relaxed, and I hope that you are ready to, I hope you're ready to engage with me as I relax myself and doodle, draw, whatever it is that comes to mind tonight. I'm very glad that you're here with me tonight. So tonight, I am just starting with a blank canvas. The last few streams I've been working on a desert painting. Pardon me while I adjust things just a bit here. But tonight, I just want to come back to the roots of pure creativity without any plan or purpose. Hello, dude. It's nice to have you back. I hope everybody has had a nice week. I know that there are ups and downs with every week, but I'm proud of you for doing your best, making it through. And I'm very glad that you're here now. Whatever time you're watching this, it is my privilege to just give you a time of a little bit of peace and quiet. Or shenanigans, depending on how things go. Although if the track record holds, will mostly just be painting while I mutter about what I'm doing. For me, it has been so busy. My day job and taking care of things around my house. I have a partner who has been very, very busy too. And she has been doing so much for her mother and her family, all while going to school and working. Just an extraordinary person. And somebody in my life who I'm very grateful for. This is an interesting pairing of colors I've chosen. And almost kind of reminds me of the paintings we've been working on with the desert and some water. So we're going to do some slightly different colors here. I can hear my cats running around the house, although you probably can't hear that. They usually become very active at night. Night creatures. So I'm not really sure what I'm going for here. Basically just doing my usual, following patterns as I create them, experiencing things just as I kind of unwind myself. Think about all the things that have happened since last time. The world has moved, and I have tried my best to move with it, as we all do. World bends, we bend. So I'm trying to think of a theme that has been very prevalent this week. And I think one of them has been self-belief and surprising yourself. Trying to step out of one's comfort zone. Realizing where you are in your place and time. And doing what you feel is natural and right, no matter who's looking. People talk a lot about masks we put on. And I think sometimes I do that too, to please people or feel comfortable in the situation I'm in. But lately I've found that the less that I do that, in many situations, the more people start to drop their own mask and start to feel more comfortable. So for my time this last week, that has been an observation I've been working on. And of course, even here, I'm thinking about what to say, what topics to choose. And I don't even really need to do that either. A very new streamer. And I think with that territory, you tend to think about the feelings you want people to have, the kind of time that you want to spend together. When I think really it's perfect to just let your mind wander sometimes. Like this very strange painting I'm creating while my mind is wandering. Looks like cells and compartments. I notice sometimes I tend to, when I'm just talking and painting, paint things that either flow together or they tend to create compartments. Maybe this is an extension of how I'm feeling as I talk about the week. Like everything maybe blends together and belongs in its place. Tightly coupled and yet separate. I've certainly felt the force over this last week of time compressing, switching from activity to activity. I was working this weekend, as I sometimes have to. And finding myself enjoying the little time I had here and there, choosing what to fill my mind with as I spent that time. Whether that's meditating or focusing on some activity to allow myself to relax, momentarily forget. Such an important skill. Trusting oneself that when you come back to what it is that's important, that you've taken a break from, that your relaxed mind will find new patterns, will find new governances, new ways to see the whole picture, put things together a little bit differently. What color to choose? Well, I've chosen no color because I picked the darkest value I could. Maybe as we go back to what was frustrating us or causing us stress, with a relaxed mind, we begin to make connections we didn't see before. Constellations on problems, paths to take. As we get a little bit of distance above our problems, we begin to feel human again, and not a part of them. After all, the problems that we face in this life require a human, or we wouldn't be doing them. I solve so many puzzles with my work I do, trying to figure out how to help people stay human in a way. I do computer coding for my job, and a lot of it is algorithms, ways of looking at pieces of data so that things make perfect sense. We don't spend so much time worrying about the dazzling array of different variables and things changing, or even if they stay the same. Sometimes a picture can look so complex that you just don't know where to start. I enjoy creating ways of finding a path through something. I'm playing with my curves again. Excuse me for just a moment. Something going on. Okay, I'm back. Somebody needed help with something. Painting in a layer I can't paint on. This almost looks like a child's drawing. And that is perfectly wonderful. And children make really beautiful drawings. I think that sometimes I paint like a child because children put something down and they decide whether they like what they see. And they just kind of do more of it. Children have a tendency to practice things that they like. I remember growing up that I sometimes did some strange things, like a child does, but I continually worked at creating something that I really liked. I had a really wonderful grandmother who would watch my sister and I a lot when we were growing up. And she was a wonderful artist. Run me while I scooch closer. And she would just give us things to paint with or draw with. She would encourage us not just to occupy ourselves, but find something that we were proud of. Find something that we really liked doing. And I remember one of those things was taking a magnifying glass and going out in the sun and making pictures on wood. Which makes me sound a bit like a pyro, but it was something I really liked doing with my little blobs that I was making. Or working with clay. Or whittling soap is something I remember that she let me do. And that was a lot of fun. And I'd make little animals out of soap. I'm slowly changing colors and places. Very wild little doodle I'm doing tonight. Okay, dude. You have a good night. I like this red color. Red and blue. Seems like something I work with a lot. Always love those two colors together. Even when I was young and asked what's your favorite color, it was either red or blue, but oftentimes it was both of them together. There's just always something I found very alluring about the contrast between them. Whether it was something I was drawing or just a pair of 3D glasses. I remember taking red and blue markers and making my own fun little 3D images out of them. So I'm going to merge this overlay layer, which looks interesting, I'm sure, if you were to change it to a normal layer. Just look at what I've overlaid on top of here. Definitely looks very random. And I'm going to merge it here, so it becomes part of my doodle. It's interesting that it changed. I'm not sure why that happened. Let's just flatten the image so that we keep what we've created as we've seen it. I'm just going to take color that I see around and start moving it throughout the painting. I feel like I want to fill in these white areas. Very lightly. Start moving color into places that for some reason appeals to me. Red and blue. Light shades and dark shades. No rules. exploring it. This looks so much like watercolor. Do some interesting things. Change our process a little. I love this brilliant green. Give me just one moment. My partner just messaged me and said that one of our cats got locked up in a linen closet. And I'll be honest, this isn't even like an infrequent occurrence. We have one little very curious cat that will run into something if you open it. Such a curious little guy. I love him so much. This cat we got the day after my birthday, and we call him my birthday cat. His name is Scrambles, and he's such a cute little guy. Maybe I could show you a picture of him. I'll send this. Somewhere where I can transfer it. And in a couple minutes, I'm happy to show you this picture. Let's see if I can get that over here. Give me just a minute. Mm-hmm. Make him big so you can see him. It's my little Scrambles man. He makes the most adorable little sounds, and he'll come in sometimes and sit on my shoulders. He's about 3. and only one brain cell. Let's do some wiggling. Burn off some nervous energy. I produce a surprising amount of nervous energy. I'm a person with many different sides to them. And if you know that you're talking to one of them now. But other sides of me have so much nervous energy, especially in the morning. And I spend a good amount of time relieving that, working through it with breaths, finding little things to focus on that I know I can do and I can look at and say, I accomplished that. And generally, I think most importantly, being kind to myself as much as I can. And I think anybody should do that. Learn to be kind to themselves. I think we spend so much focus on deciding when to be kind to ourselves and deciding it's conditional, that we're only allowed to be kind to ourselves when we've done something or completed something or when things are going right. When the truth is that we don't have to lock our self-kindness to one particular thing that we must do. And sometimes it helps to just pick small things to do. So you approve. You find the good in yourself. You find reasons to be proud of yourself, even if it takes you just a couple minutes. Especially when we're struggling to be perfect, or others are having expectations of us. Finding those little things you can do to improve your world around you. Even if it's just putting away some dishes or cleaning up a small mess or whatever it is. Finding an occasion to say, I've done something good. I can officially give myself permission to be kind to myself now. So I'm gonna add some highlights here, just for fun, over certain things and elements. As though there's light falling on them. Imagined light on a strange object or texture or surface. Doesn't even necessarily have to follow the lines. Places we can invent structures. And maybe that is something that would be really fun to do. Create a highlight, create a shadow. Over what exists. Maybe a big ripple. Layers of reality on top of each other. Dimensions collapsing as they do. I think one of the things that I believe, and it's just one way of looking at reality, is that our three dimensions in time collapse in higher dimensions. Some things suddenly seem static, like space, that were not so static to us like time. And new perceptions arrive, new types of continuity instead of the time we're used to. Let's repeat a process here. Create a new overlay. Continue doing what we're doing. Boldening what we've done. New layers of effect arriving. I'll just adjust a little bit here. Maybe even playing with some color in places to draw out certain things, certain places and directions. Just playing, really. We've created a little playground for ourselves. continue the process again. Create yet another overlay. Maybe this time we'll go right for the colors. At this point, it's like the picture becomes more about the process, iterating over and over again, and what we choose to do as we build up. More about that than it is really truly about what it is that we put there. I have some strange inspiration here. Time to go with it. Create a negative space. Create something within it. Make it solid. Real. Bit like a bullseye or an eye, right in the center. Work with definite shades. starting with the sphere. Hello, bird. It's going well. I'm just playing and doodling. How are you? Thanks for stopping by. I've created this space in here to put something definite where there was a lot of process going on out here. Something very stark and focusing. And I'm thinking I may play even more. Or not. Actually, I think I'm going to leave it the way it is. Just doing my namesake yapping and doodling. How was your week, Bert? I didn't choose anything very even here. And I kind of want to make it look a little bit more symmetrical. What am I thinking about right now? Guess I'm thinking about this abyss behind why this negative space exists. some pseudostructures over this. Low opacity. I think maybe this like ring structure, this flowing outwards, is possibly influenced by my watching Star Trek. Recently started watching some episodes of Star Trek that for whatever reason I didn't see the first time I watched. One of them was the end of The Next Generation. The last episode, All Good Things, had these anomalies that were flowing outwards from a center. Kind of just like this. It's funny, I can barely see where I put down anything. I'm wondering what happens if I take a look like this. It's liberating to not have to create anything in particular sometimes and just let accidents happen and guide you. And that's exactly what's happening here as I make this big doodly wonderful mess. Pick a dark violet color. Overlay on top of what I'm doing. As I suddenly felt compelled to do. Not even sure why. Maybe I'll move this down a layer. Move it back up. I hope I'm not too quiet. decided I liked a little bit more black space around here. Not really guided by anything but what I'm seeing, the combination of things that appear to me. Let's flatten everything. Do this overlay once more. More black. Like space. Have some water. Flatten again. Now go into some of these places where it's dark. Maybe this time we'll work in red. Create strange shapes that fit in these areas. Like little loose rubber bands. Back and play with the overlay again. Create little highlights on some of them. Turn them into further oddities. some shadows. Very fun. Maybe even define this a bit more with these. Just like that. Hmm. Let's flatten this a little bit. Or completely, as it were. Decide where we want saturation. Where we want a stonier look to it. Decide it. Then we're going back to basics. Making more structural appearance. At least in places. Blue-red energy. Maybe some remaining hints of other things. Or not. I'm feeling very compelled to just turn this black and white. I think maybe the garish colors were bothering me a little bit now as I go through my own process. Now, just put a regular normal layer up. Start adding some interesting shadows in here. Plates, structure. Are they cracks or something else? I don't know. play with color picking and going back and forth with it. Different modes of travel across this picture. I'm going to do this all in one layer. Like a child just finding my way to something that I like the look of it. Nothing is happening. Why? Because I'm not painting with a normal brush. It's funny, I didn't notice that until now. Didn't seem quite like I was getting the expected result, and now I am. I'd probably be a lot more observant if I felt like I was playing by rules, but that is the majestic thing about a doodle. We've already kind of resigned rules a little bit to the back burner. You follow the rules where they delight you, and you abandon them readily where they don't anymore. I'd love to be able to teach like a class on spiritual doodling. Some distillation of essential doodling. How to let yourself just fly without disliking anything you're doing, really, and just finding your truth as you go. I don't even know really why I'm changing brush size or anything. Just playing, play. I see something, I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. And I'll do more of it. And if I want to make that grow and expand over a large area, I will. And I will talk to you the whole time I do it. It's funny, I don't even know if this is something that people would really love to tune into. And as I've said before, I'm almost doing this for myself. But I love the idea of sharing that space with others. Wonder what this looks like from far away. Almost looks feathery. Gives me an idea for next time I doodle to just start in black and white and then go back over with colors. Add auras. I promise there will be a stream where I do set out to actually draw something recognizable that I have in my head. But I can guarantee you I will always be doodling. It's almost like I go between phases where I just want to have no rules and have pure doodle time. And other phases where I really want to watch something come together and build. Like the title cards of this stream or paintings I've done. I've certainly done some paintings of some very unusual objects that were just stuck in my head, and I felt like I needed to get them out, give them life, set them free. Or a concept that I just cannot think how to express without a picture. I have a concept kind of like that, actually. I have it on my list of things to paint. This collapsing dimensions concept. I'm imagining what looks like three-dimensional structures, but as you move from left to right in the picture, they start looking more two-dimensional. This is very interesting. I like this in here. They start looking more two-dimensional, and then they sort of end up being the surface of other three-dimensional objects. Those become more two-dimensional as you go further. And it just keeps collapsing down in dimensions that way. Just kind of how I see the universe. If you were to see it the way it really is. Or at least the way I experience it. I hope you're having a beautiful time. Just listening to this music that's very peaceful brings me comfort. As I wiggle my way all over this. Sometimes I like to step back and look at something. Feeling antsy, so I'm gonna go big. Viciously suggest how the rest of this can go. Feeling big transformative. We can blame that on the music, I guess. It's interesting. This almost looks like it's forming into rings of feathers, which I have definitely painted before. I've had visions as I was falling asleep of wreaths of feathers or walls of feathers or wings even. I've painted some of those things. Of course, these here kind of almost look like cottage cheese clouds. I was thinking of a ring of clouds, and I was like, what's a ring of clouds? Let's see. I was thinking of a hurricane. My mind invented the word hurricanous to describe something that is like a hurricane. We're now crossing through the hurricanous layers of my mind as I lose it completely. Although, I do like the stoniness of this over here. Even if it means focusing way down, I think I want to create more of it. I'd love to see this in time lapse, just all the ways that I've gone and transformed everything. Sorry for getting a little louder. I just realized my mic was pretty far from where I was. creating so much fluffiness in here. It's interesting that some of the emotions that come up while you're just freeform painting, I almost have a feeling of helplessness that this is evoking, as though helpless to stop some chaos, trying to find peace with it. I actually really enjoy those kinds of sensations while I'm painting because they help me come down to the ground level of my psyche, understand why I might be accessing those emotions or having the experience, and try not to avoid it. When you have something to focus on that you're painting and it's an object or something and it needs to look like that thing, you tend to ignore some of that. But when you have no thing to focus on, you find that the mind-body connection, the feedback of just creating something, those emotions become the focus. I've had truly wild things come out in a picture because I just let those things sort of drive. I guess some people call that like vent art, but I've never really understood completely that term. I guess maybe I could be informed in comments or something, but is vent art like when you have an overwhelming emotion, you sit down and just go for it with the art, just to hell with its aesthetics? Seems that way, maybe. This doesn't feel like vent art, this feels like emotional exploration. Without much care for the aesthetics at all. Well, I promise you that it will never turn into Aura's trauma dumping hour. Out of all the different sides of myself, I think I'm most at peace with the inherent trauma of the world around me. Prefer to face it with a gentle compassion, because that's the feeling I love more than anything. Just a boundless feeling of sonder and connection with people. On display for everyone. Although I do make comments sometimes that some may describe as quirky, strange, or even jarring, and that also goes with the territory of aura. Probably the most sensible explanation for that kind of thing is just that I feel that I just feel so at peace with some things that I will openly laugh at them or bring them into the same discussion with other things that seem almost incongruous sometimes. These look almost more like bones over here. And now I've decided to paint from a distance. Maybe I'll return to this doodle in the future. Because it seems like there's a lot of little places to explore in it. And it almost feels like it does want to be something, but it's going through all of its little growing stages. I wonder if you were to continue on this for hours and hours and hours, day after day, what this would turn into eventually. Maybe I'll do that. Keep giving this picture more experiences and watching day after day what it turns into. Certainly don't feel any rush to make it something tonight. In fact, I think I might just leave it right at this tonight. All lopsided the way it is. Hmm. Okay, friends. Thank you for spending this time with me. And I hope that no matter what time of day it is, if it's evening, I hope you're settling into a sleep. It's the beginning of your day. I hope that you reflect on some of the things that maybe you thought of while we were here. Ways to make your life better. Ways to feel good about yourself. Ways to feel like you can step aside from the things that don't define you and choose to live in the moments and expand into those moments that you feel do define you. I want you to feel human, to feel like the things you do every day are making you a better person and bringing you closer to others. And if nothing else, I want you to experience something truly extraordinary that changes you for the better. And so with that, I'll say good night. Have peace. This is Origin. Take care of yourself.